We're still headed south out of town, but only a few hundred yards along the Via Nomentana to the Mausoleum of St. Costanza and the Church of St. Agnes outside the walls that practically abut one another. We're at the outer entrance to the mausoleum, but first, an Italian conversation demonstration.
Io quello già avevo pensato, quello glielo mettevo davanti, sì, sì. Quegli altri, appunto, sì, quell'altro il 28 all'una, quindi all'una. E mi devi dare il nome, no, non ce l'ho, cioè, Bullara, sì, so quelli, sì, va bene. Allora.
The facade was deceptively plain. It leads into a relatively modern inner courtyard before emptying into an Italian garden.
We are going to Santa Costanza, the mausoleum built in the 4th century AD, and where it was buried Costanza, Constantine's daughter, and other members of the family. The mausoleum is a round-shaped building and is decorated on the vault, a circular vault with mosaics. They are latest mosaic of the late Imperial Age. In front of you are the ruins of the huge church dating back to the 4th century, which was later destroyed, and it was built a new one which is much smaller. While to my left hand is the mausoleum, which once was completed with an outstanding portico, but is the building still the original one dated back to the 4th century AD. The most valuable work to look at is on the ceiling, where are mosaics representing geometrical figures, but also floating cupids, peacocks, and other birds. And then there is a mosaic representing a vintage scene, and there are people pressing grapes and making wine. But in this case, making wine is very meaningful because it is strictly related to a Christian meaning. It's the blood of Jesus. The wine is the blood of Jesus. Here is the subject of the vintage scene with the three men pressing grapes and making wine. Right at the center of this mosaic is a portrait representing Julian the Apostate's brother. Julian the Apostate was one of the last pagan emperor who tried to reintroduce and to re-establish the pagan religion.
Take some time to fully appreciate this is a simple, massively constructed, and elegant mausoleum, though the mosaics on the dome are fading now.
The sarcophagus is a copy of the one now housed in the Vatican Museum, but in the 4th century AD, here was the sarcophagus where Costanza, the daughter of Emperor Constantine, was buried. It was a porphyry sarcophagus, as all the ones prepared for the imperial members. The figure, the head you see at the center of the sarcophagus is probably the true portrait of Costanza, while the cupids pressing grapes are recalling the subject we saw on the ceiling of the vintage scene, and is always a subject related to Christian religion.
These next two shots, taken with a wide and a super wide angle lens, give you a much better idea of its size and massiveness. It's a truly well worthwhile stop in Roma. This is the plain front of St. Agnes outside the walls. St. Agnes was of Roman nobility and was martyred at the age of 13 under the Eastern Roman Emperor Diocletian in 304 AD. St. Agnes is the patron saint of young women. Custom has it for them to pray through St. Agnes on St. Agnes Eve to discover their future husbands. We can't go in just yet because there's a wedding in progress, but I think they're almost ready. They're gathering handfuls of rice. Ah yes, the ubiquitous wedding photos. Che più bella, che brutto. Divorced in 5, or he'll take a mistress. I should shoot him and marry her. If wishes were horses, then beggars would ride.
On the ceiling you can see Virgin Mary holding the 3 lily flowers,
Representing
the Trinity, and then at the center is St. Agnes, to whom is dedicated the church, and at the end is another female saint, is Saint Cecilia, protector of the music.
Listen, watch this. The 7th century mosaic in the apse shows St. Agnes in the center, dressed as a Byzantine empress. This is in part to recognize her as a saint, and in part to stick it to Emperor Diocletian, who had her executed and martyred in 304. On the left, holding the model of the church, is its builder, Pope Honorius I, and on the right, Pope St. Symmachus.
This is one of the 2 churches still existing in Rome where are well-preserved balconies, once reserved to women who had to sit down separate from men. They are facing each other, and you can notice that the columns are recycled columns. One is different from the other.
Recycled from
pagan temples,
yes.
Ancient pagan temples.
That's an interesting word,
yes,
that you called it recycled.
Yes, reused.
Well, yes, because recycled in English has the connotation of being destroyed and then used as something
for
else.
Something else. But it is the same idea.
But you would say reused. Because recycled implies destruction.
That is the structure. The fresco you see on top of it is depicting St. Agnes exposed in the Stadium of the Mission before being beheaded. She was sentenced to death because she was following the Christian religion, and she refused to worship the statue of the divinity.
The bridegroom has disappeared already, leaving this gorgeous bride to be fawned over by in-laws and outlaws. What a crying shame. Well, remember Francis Bacon's quote, "By pains men come to greater pains." He ought to know he had his head chopped off. My heart is heavy, knowing such a beautiful woman is married to such an ugly man, che brutto, when she could have had me. Driving now south out of Roma, on our way still to Paestum, we're getting close to our mystery X. X marks the spot. X equals what? X equals who? X equals where? Who cares about X to the 4th power? That's it. It's all about power.